The extraordinary story of the doctor who allowed his unqualified brother to pose as a GP and treat patients in his surgery. Mark Dallas worked in his brother's Sydney surgery, examining patients, advising on treatments and prescribing medications, all with just a first aid certificate. Today he was found guilty of holding himself out to be a registered doctor, and his brother, Dr Rick Dallas, convicted of aiding and abetting. As Elise Mooney reports, while the pair now face hefty fines or up to 12 months imprisonment, the so-called doctor's patients say they had no idea he wasn't qualified and feel betrayed and angry.
Just devastated, couldn't believe that someone that I had thought was so wonderful and had trusted as a doctor was a fraud.
He used to just act like you would expect a doctor to act. He'd come out, get your medical card and say, "Come in, Leslie," and off you'd trot.
Mark Dallas looked like a doctor, acted like a doctor. He vaccinated a child, took patients' blood pressure, changed surgical dressings and undertook physical examinations. But Mark Dallas never qualified as a medical practitioner. The closest he got to his childhood dream of becoming a doctor was to gain a first aid certificate.
Very betrayed is the word, I guess, that you could use. Really betrayed.
Fran Manusa first visited Mark Dallas in 1995 and saw him several times that year in the belief he was a doctor.
He'd take my blood pressure. I remember on one occasion he said, "Just relax, don't worry, don't be nervous." He had a very kind, caring bedside manner.
But Fran's suspicions were aroused when Mark Dallas prescribed hormone replacement therapy for her.
He wrote me the script for those and he said, "You can put them anywhere on your body." When I got the script filled, it had a warning, "Do not place on breasts." And I was quite alarmed at reading that and him not being aware of it.
How did you feel when you found out he wasn't in fact a doctor?
Couldn't believe what I was reading. I was absolutely horrified. I thought there's got to be a mistake.
Mark's cover was blown last year following complaints made to the medical board. His brother Rick is a qualified doctor. They worked as partners out of this busy surgery in Sydney's west. Mark kept up his masquerade for the last 5 years, treating unsuspecting patients.
I've had a breast lump and had that removed, and it reoccurred a couple of years later, and Mark Dallas actually examined my breast and referred me to a breast specialist.
Leslie Tempest has been taking her family to see Mark Dallas for 5 years.
My son suffers from asthma. He gave him a peak flow test, wrote prescriptions for all of us. I had no reason to think he wasn't a doctor.
The court heard Mark Dallas at his HSC 3 times because he wanted to get into medical school. When asked if he always wanted to be a doctor, he replied, "Always." And when his daughter wanted to get into the local Catholic school, he stated he was a doctor on the application form because he thought it would add emphasis. He even appears as a medical practitioner on the 1999 electoral roll.
I'm disgusted. I mean, I trusted them with, like, seeing me, seeing my kids, like any mother. If they came across this, you know, you're devastated.
Deborah Mullard and her family have been going to the Dallas surgery up to 3 times a week for the last 14 years.
I was very upset because, like, a doctor is someone you trust. And now I've got no faith really in any doctors unless I can see their credentials, you know, up on the wall or actually ask them questions.
Mark and Rick Dallas refused to be interviewed. Mark told the court he believed on hearing the matter, his former patients came to the court simply to lie for monetary gain. And in a final insult, the Dallas brothers pasted this letter on the surgery door when it was closed during the court case.
Thank goodness that I didn't have anything serious, such as cancers that may have been not picked up or other serious illnesses. I thank my lucky stars that I just went to him for things that weren't life-threatening.
And Mark Dallas and his brother are yet to be sentenced. Well, it's been described as one of the nation's worst breaches of building regulations. An owner-builder who defied all council bylaws and warnings to build himself a dam. on top of picturesque Mount Tamborine in the Gold Coast hinterland. Now, the dam collapsed, causing a landslide, which left neighbouring properties sinking and roads collapsing. Manny Karutas has the story.
As you can see, that's what's left of the road. It used to be a nice, good, strong road up, and it used to be actually underneath the other side of the power lines, just up to our left-hand side.
So it's moved from there down to here?
It has, and it's still moving, which is the scary part. It's threadbare waiting to happen.
6 years ago, Scott Saunders bought his own piece of paradise on Mount Tamborine in the Gold Coast hinterland. Within months, he built his dream home and settled in for a life of tranquility.
Peace and quiet. No birds, well, lots of birds, but no cars, no traffic, no people. It's great.
But that perfect lifestyle was destroyed by a landslide last February that now threatens to bury Scott's home.
Primarily, you know, the whole lot could go. The whole corner of the mountain is potentially at threat at the moment.
Making matters worse is that nature is not responsible. The landslip which tore away the side of a mountain and demolished the only road into Scott's property was caused by neighbour Marian Arpas carrying out illegal earthworks.
Having been here for 6 years and seen the torrential rain, there was never any problem. The main factor that changed through all that was the actual property next to us above our access road. There was a large couple of pads cut for a house to be built and access for the main part of the property. And that was the main contributing factor.
Access to Scott's house has become nothing short of treacherous. Ladders and planks littered throughout what looks like the remains of an earthquake.
So this is where the fun begins. As you can see, a bit of ladders and stuff to get through.
It's pretty steep, mate.
It's an absolute nightmare. The land's dropped away about 4 to 5 metres. So the access is down these ladders to try and get you down to the next level, so...
It is a huge drop, isn't it?
Yep, and all around, you know, you can see it's all just moving. On either side, it's all just moving, so it's constantly changing every day.
Moving along the makeshift walkway, it's hard to imagine doing this at night or with your hands full of groceries. But more worrying is the threat to houses down below.
I think there's about 10 houses down in Sherlock Court, probably 4 or 5 directly in the path of the slip if it did happen to go further.
Scott fears a Thredbo-style disaster if the problem isn't fixed soon. But neighbour Marian Arpas says he's not to blame, despite 3 engineering reports linking the slippage to work on his block.
In their considered opinion, they were quite convinced that it was actually a cause or a result of the earthworks from the property above. So we were very, very comfortable with, that that's what had happened. As I said earlier, 6 years, and there's been never any problem.
Well, council engineers have confirmed that there is no possible way that this wouldn't have happened if the earthworks hadn't taken place. The roadway, the driveway that has been severely affected has been there for many years. It hasn't moved 1 inch.
Gold Coast City Councillor David Power has described the illegal work as absolutely appalling. Council slapped a stop work order on the land last September, but can do little else than try and fine Mr Arpas for not seeking their approval, because the landslide occurred on private land.
Well, there's 2 streams, unfortunately, for the people who are affected. The first stream, which is council's area of responsibility, is the failure to lodge an application. Council can pursue that through the magistrates' court and try and have a fine imposed. And the second stream is the civil action between the neighbours.
Is there something wrong with the system when Mr Saunders, who's done nothing wrong, is left to foot the bill?
The difficulty is with anything like this case is where do you draw the line between the public responsibility and the private responsibility.
Scott Saunders says it's already cost him $5,000 in legal fees, and he's now run out of money to fight Mr Arpas in court.
Yeah, frustrated, very frustrated. It's reached stalemate at the point now. So it's now since February. We're now looking, early August, and it's nothing has actually occurred. The road is still slipping. It's just an absolute nightmare.
Mr Arpas would not appear on camera to answer our questions, but he did tell me over the phone that he felt terrible for what had happened, but stopped short of accepting responsibility.
The only option we really have left open to us now is just to lock the place up and walk away from it, let it sit here until I can afford to pursue it legally again. So the place, we can't get the furniture out. Everything will have to stay in the house. We'll keep paying the mortgage, keep trying to save money to actually pursue it legally further, and that's where it sits. The pain it's put us through since February, since it's happened, it's been, soul-shattering.
Well, after the break, eating your way to weight loss. Could it be as simple as a spicy dinner washed down with cups of coffee?
When you do have a hot meal, it does increase adrenaline, and we know that adrenaline increases the rate at which you burn fat.
I don't think you're You've been eating liver.
Dahmer and Greg, tonight on 7.
Every day the fabric in your home soaks in smells. Now there's a product that doesn't just mask the smells, it dries in minutes, safely cleaning away odours for good. New Resolve Fabric Refresher dissolves odours from furniture, curtains, car upholstery and clothes, leaving them as fresh as a daisy. Dissolve away fabric odours with Resolve.
Go Harvey Norman for a genuine IBM computer for just $14.99. Just look at what you get. 380 MHz processor, 32 megabytes of RAM, 4 gig hard drive, 40-speed CD-ROM, 56K modem, even a built-in network card. Windows 98, World Book Encyclopedia, and Smart Suite Millennium. Plus, we'll give you a bonus 32 megabytes of RAM. That's a total of 64 megabytes of RAM, all for an amazing $14.99. Yes, this genuine IBM computer for just $14.99.
Prices are crashing down at Rocket Brothers with great price-busting specials.
For 4-cylinder cars, Rockers are offering a full tune-up and service from only $99. Plus, they'll include a 68-point safety check, all from only $99.
Don't worry, I won't be doing it.
Have a touch key immobiliser fitted for $99 or a Paralyzer 500 immobiliser alarm fitted for only $299. And if your car is stolen, Rockers will pay up to $1,000 insurance excess cover.
Now, where's that Ferrari they want me to work on?
Well, we're cheaper than the others, so rock and have the brothers.
At Bilo, big brand prices are under attack.
Here's fantastic value, 25% off 500-gram Flora spread.
$1.37.
Win the price battle.
Now at Bilo.
Emergency plumbing.
New Weston's Quattro with biscuit, caramel, peanuts and chocolate.
Why am I talking to a machine? My house is
Weston's
flooding.
Quattro. Nothing should disturb a Quattro memento.
Tonight,
I've decided to take my career in a whole new direction. Forward.
it's showtime.
Calling it Just Jack.
But don't get too excited.
I'm so glad you got in. Jack, the place is empty. Don't upset me before a performance.
Will and Grace, tonight on 7.
Well, over the years, dieters have been bombarded with everything from miracle weight loss programs to revolutionary high-tech devices designed to get rid of those unwanted kilos. Well, now researchers investigating the claims of expensive herbal dietary supplements have uncovered some hot news. Perhaps you should forget the herbal pills, and if you want to lose weight, concentrate on spicy meals and cups of coffee. Alex Tarney explains.
Wow, you've lost another 1.5 kilos. That's 7 kilos altogether.
In our clinical trials, I mean, people have achieved fantastic weight loss in a month.
I've lost 10 kilos. And today is the completion of 7 weeks.
I've lost 9 kilos in 10 weeks, so I was quite proud.
All these people are singing the praises of yet another weight loss supplement. This one is called OptiSlim, and it's one of the many herbal weight loss products on the market at the moment. Cheryl Leo, the product spokesperson, is effusive about OptiSlim's blend of exotic ingredients.
Well, I guess it's the appetite suppressors and the fat metabolisers, and probably the main ingredients in OptiSlim are brindleberry and chromium.
And they're well known as weight loss products, aren't they?
They certainly are.
There's absolutely no evidence and there's no physiological basis for why it would reduce appetite. It certainly is not a fat metaboliser.
Claims about herbal weight loss products like OptiSlim incense weight loss expert Gary Egger, nutritionist Rosemary Stanton and Dr. David Cameron Smith. So they decided to join together and study these products to educate the public and become a voice of reason.
There's a lot of people that are prepared to pay a lot of money to get a quick fix, and they don't have much evidence for some of the things that they're paying money for.
And how many companies does he believe are failing to live up to the claims they make?
It'd be close to 100%.
And this is why we call this the scourge of our modern society.
Even the doctor who represents OptiSlim, Dr. Michael Ellis, couldn't explain to us how ingredients like brindleberry help with weight loss.
I don't know. I should imagine it probably has a slightly thermogenic effect, that it enables the fat to burn up a bit. But I really don't know how it works.
But what did come out of the study was that while exotic herbal ingredients like brindleberry, which is the rind of an Asian citrus fruit, had no effect on weight loss, some common things did.
One is caffeine from coffee, obviously. The other is a thing called capsaicin, which is an ingredient in spicy foods such as chilies and curries and so on. And the third is fibre.
It is surprising but not unexpected.
Dr. David Cameron Smith has studied what happens to our bodies when we eat food with chili in it. He says the active ingredient in chilies, which is capsaicin, speeds up the metabolic rate for a couple of hours after a hot meal.
You can stimulate your metabolic rate simply by consuming a meal that's hot to your palate, and it really is the sensitivity or the heat that you feel. So it has to be hot for you, and it certainly does help if you break out into a little bit of a sweat. It does increase adrenaline, and we know that adrenaline increases the rate at which you burn fat.
Which means the good news for people trying to lose weight is that diet food doesn't have to be boring. The study even found evidence that coffee also slightly speeds up the metabolism and draws fat into the bloodstream. Professor Lawrence Spreet from Canada is an expert on caffeine and nutrition.
There's really nothing bad by taking in 2 or 3 cups of coffee during the day. It is enjoyable. Many people really enjoy it and look forward to it. And so it certainly can't do any harm.
One of the interesting things that a number of people have demonstrated about chilies is that when you do have a hot meal, it takes you longer to eat that hot meal, and you're also less likely to eat a really large meal.
But David and Lawrence stress the effect that chilies and caffeine can have on weight loss is minor compared to the results you can achieve through healthy eating and exercise. So if the study concludes that herbal supplements don't assist weight loss, then why did the women on the OptiSlim trial lose so many kilos?
So Margaret, 7 kilos is definitely worth getting excited about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In 4 weeks.
The program itself sees you taking 2 capsules before breakfast and 2 capsules before dinner. And then we give you a healthy diet plan that you follow for 3 days only, and then you resume 4 days of normal eating.
At $39.95 for a 15-day supply of OptiSlim, wouldn't people get the same results if they just dieted and exercised?
Oh no, I think you need a multivitamin mineral preparation with a certain efficacious substances to enable a person to really lose weight.
Gary Egger hopes his study will save consumers from spending money on expensive products.
The message remains the same. Watching what you eat, particularly the amount of fat in your diet, and incorporating physical activity, particularly during the cold winter months.
There will always be people who think that it takes them 30 years to put on 20 or 30 kilos, but they can take it off overnight. I mean, it just doesn't happen that way.
Well, next, Jars tries some Malala magic to inspire some high-powered footy tipping.
I'm always ready. John, get this little pussycat going. OK, mate, let's go. You'll need this.
And he's known far and wide as Super Trucker.
3 days to go until the most exciting television event of the year.
He's carrying a nuclear weapon.
If you fire a missile at that train, we'll have a nuclear disaster.
The atomic train is coming to Adelaide, Sunday, 8:30 on 7.
You were great.
Wish you were real. Oh, you dog.
How'd you get this number?
Tell him he's dreaming.
It's showtime. 24 hours a day on Foxtel.
If you haven't locked up with a Lockwood 001 dead latch, have you really locked up?
Now at McDonald's, you can get a bacon and egg McMuffin, a hash brown, a coffee, and your daily newspaper, all for only $3.45. The Good News Breakfast, only from McDonald's.
The next Telstra Share offer is coming.
Reserve a copy of the public offer document by August 16th and you'll be eligible for a guaranteed allocation of shares. The Telstra 2 share offer. It's for you. Call 1-800-181818. Authorised by the Commonwealth Government, Canberra.
What's your secret?
Mongolian Stir and Serve. The sauce concentrate packed full of flavour. New Stir and Serve. Fountain sauce, of course.
Fox Studios Australia is opening in November, and you could win opening night tickets with a $7,000 glamour package. Subscribe to Foxtel to be in the draw to win, and you'll also receive a copy of the Variety Movie Guide. Call 131999 and quote movies.
Well, if you look back over some of Jar's weird and wonderful selections in the footy tips, you'd agree he is a risk-taking thrill seeker. So he'll be right at home on Sunday when Malala plays host to the big rigs racing for trucking glory. Now, there's just one Adelaide competitor, John Bomber Bombale, and he offered to show Jars how the Blue Singlet Brigade tips.
It takes a man with nerves of steel to sit behind the wheel, blazing diesels roaring through the night. On the highway every
It's
day.
white knuckle fever, footy fans, and it's crunch time for the Adelaide Crows and Malcolm Blight and Mark Williams and Port Power. Can the boys fire up? Crunch time for these boys on the weekend. Malala on Sunday. It's the big trucks. These guys, they'll crunch in hard. Let's have a look at last week's tips.
The Prof's computer is at last finding some consistency. He's edged a bit further from the whiz, with Jars needing to tip with his polished head and his crow-eyed heart.
Roaring through the night.
What the? What are you doing there? Get out of here. Oh, I just want to take it for a ride. G'day, John. How you going, mate?
Good, Andrew.
You well?
Very well, thank you.
Going well. Now, John, can I take this out for a bit of a drive around the streets of Adelaide to go and get some milk?
Well, I think it might not be looked upon with much endeavour, but I think you can come out to Malala if you like.
Come for a bit of a drive at Malala,
Take
the big
for a drive.
truck? Fantastic.
The Wiz is forecasting a bad weekend for injuries to the Bombers and the Lions, but she tips them to keep winning, along with the Power and Adelaide to spoil Pluggers' day at the SCG.
John, let's get your footy tips for tomorrow night. First game, Collingwood take on Essendon at the MCG. Don't forget Essendon have lost a couple of players this week through suspension.
Yes, I know that, Andrew, but I think Essendon will be too strong. The Bombers, same as my nickname, Bombers.
I'll also go for the Bombers. Saturday, Richmond take on the Western Bulldogs.
I think the Western Bulldogs will kick Richmond's butt.
Kick Richmond's butt. I'm also going to go with John on that one. The Kangaroos take on St Kilda.
Kangaroos, too strong for St Kilda.
Well, I'm going to go for the Kangaroos. Timmy Watson's under pressure. His hair's falling out. He should have stuck with the media. Kangaroos for mine. Saturday night, Football Park. Could be a little bit wet. Port Adelaide take on the Melbourne Demons, who are under crisis time at the moment.
No, I don't think the Demons have got it together. Port Power will win that one.
Will Joe Gutnick put on the boots and play? I'm going for Port Adelaide. At the Wacker, West Coast, Mickey Malthouse, is he gone? Take on Hawthorn.
This is the time West Coast need to turn it around. West Coast.
I'm going for West Coast. Big game, John. Geelong, Carlton.
Carlton.
I'll have to go for Carlton. Sunday, the Lions take on Freo. Freo are a shocking side. Channel 7 today, tonight team could beat Fremantle. Who do you select?
Lions by half a game.
Lions by half a game. I'll work that one out a little bit later on, but the Lions by 110 points plus. John, last game of the round. Adelaide Crows take on Sydney at the SCG on Sunday.
I think the Crows really needed to get together if they're going to win, but being a South Australian boy, I'll go for the Crows.
All right. Well, I'm gonna select the Adelaide Crows. I don't know why, but I just think that this is their last roll of the dice. But it's going to be an emotional time for Plugger and the crowd.
Well, what do you reckon, Andrew? You ready to come out to Malala? Show me those knuckles, mate. You got the white knuckle fever yet?
Are we going?
Let's go.
Well, where's the truck?
Let's go, mate.
Where's
Get
the
in.
truck? That way.
The Prof says a Power win will virtually guarantee them a spot in the finals. With 2 berths still up for grabs, Adelaide's still an 11% chance of making it, while the Saints' odds are slipping all the time. Now, gentlemen, start your engines.
All right, Sunday, we want a big crowd down here on Sunday to support our local man, John.
Come out and support us.
Right, well, what about that ride you promised?
Let's go, mate. Let's go. Let's get into it. Come on. Okay, Charles, are you ready?
I'm always ready. John, I get this little pussycat going.
Okay, mate, let's go. You'll need this.
What about if you just stop?
A dozen girls wait for his call. Romance is his code. This highway Casanova is the Don Juan of the road. And he's known far and wide as Super Trucker. Every nerve in his body's made of steel. He's a legend of the highway, Super Trucker, and the king of the road behind the wheel. And the king of the road behind the wheel. Yeah, hang in there, boy.
Oh, here you go, Jars. There's a bit more of a smell than burnt rubber in here, mate.
Oh, yeah, thanks, John. I think I better go. Thanks for the ride.
Oh, Jazz, we'll be back with more right after the break.
At last, a wipe that provides absorbency, cleaning power and hygiene. Today, Branch Power looks at Chuck's Power Triple Action Wipes. They're made with this unique multi-layered cloth that provides excellent absorbency, while the raised arrowheads actually break up stains and grime without scratching. And each wipe has an anti-mould additive to inhibit odours. They're even colour-coded, blue for kitchen and green for bathroom. Chuck's Power Triple Action Wipes. 3 ways to a better clean. Branch Power, helping you buy better.
Pizza Hut's Works now works even better. New oven fresh Works. As well as enjoying all the variety of our Works bar, you get to choose your favourite pizza, delivered straight from our oven. Hot to your table. Pizza Hut's Oven Fresh Works. Your choice of pizza, hot to your table.
Pizza Hut!
It's harder for Dad, now Mum's gone. We're fortunate he's got someone else to watch over him. Guardian, close at hand for professional healthcare advice and little extras like Script Check, a checklist for safe self-medication.
Jack, what did I do with that script thing? Oh, good.
Guardian, it's the little extras that make a big difference.
If you're eating a Sunday roast today, what are you going to eat on Sunday?
Perhaps a chicken parmigiana.
Why are they wearing pyjamas?
Who?
The chickens.
Ah, McCain, you've done it again.
Hot water gone cold? Need your water heater repaired or replaced? Call the 24-hour hot water helpline on 13 19 23.
There's a new girl in town.
I'll see you later.
And she's making moves on Jessie.
How about seconds?
But what's she really after? Find out on Home and Away next.
Tomorrow night, the Adelaide doctor with the answer to back and joint pain. We revisit his old patients and meet the new, all swearing by the results.
I've given them a new quality of life.
My life was gone. Dr. Dillon's literally given me back my life.
I've been pain-free, so it's been great.
It's a natural substance and it's simple and it's safe.
There's so many more things you can do.
I got my life back and I'm not taking any drugs. It's magic. I'm alive again.
We'll have that story tomorrow night. Until then, good night.
Getaways New Zealand from N to Z.
It's not far from here.
Gotta go. Get away. Gotta get away. Gotta go. Get away. Gotta get away. Go. Gonna get away. Get away.
Good evening. Welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us tonight. 1 hour dedicated to the land of the haka, the All Black, the long white cloud and the sheep. We will crisscross the country to bring you New Zealand from N to Z, but of course including Auckland and other bits of the alphabet. A popular destination amongst Australians. It's a short flight, a good exchange rate, there's action aplenty, clean air, and they even speak the language. Well, sort of. This is the South Island, chock-a-block full of this kind of chocolate box picturesque scenery. And we will show you this area from above later in the program. It is simply magnificent. In the meantime, further north,
I'm not too far from Auckland at a place called Cathedral Cove. It's on the Coromandel Peninsula, which is a part of my drive down the Pacific coast. But this doesn't even begin to show you the best of New Zealand, which is why the rest of the Getaway team are along for the journey.
Going on holiday doesn't always mean taking it easy. So I'm going to show you New Zealand off-road, as well as tickling up a trout or two in one of its best fishing spots.
Auckland's about to host this year's America's Cup. I'll show you what's in store, as well as give you a taste of what this city has to offer.
You've got to love a country where tramping is the national pastime. As you'll see later in the show, you can stroll through a rainforest or slide down a volcano. Woo!
And finally, at the end of the day, one must be able to rest the weary bones and indulge in some nightlife, preferably with a drink. I'll show you Wellington once the sun has sunk. But first, here's a frosty Lockie.
New Zealand is the helicopter capital of the world. There's heli skiing, heli hunting, heli fishing, even heli mountain bike riding. But probably the most impressive of the heli activities is this one, heli hiking on Fox Glacier.
My half-day fly and walk tour begins just outside the township of Fox Glacier on the South Island. This moving river of ice measures a massive 14 kilometres from top to bottom.
The ice at the top of the Fox Glacier is approximately 300 metres deep and takes around about 8 years for the ice at the top to reach the bottom.
So how fast is it actually moving?
Around about a metre a day at the bottom and up to 3 metres in the steeper parts.
After flying the entire length of the glacier, we set down at Victoria Flat, about 5 kilometres from the bottom. This area is only accessible by helicopter. From here, the pace slows. You're supplied with boots fitted with crampons for grip on the ice. Specialist glacier guide Andy Fullerton cuts a path through the difficult parts. The moving ice creates these fantastic caves.
Now this would have been formed a long time ago. Deeply beneath the glacier there would have been a stream flowing through it, and it's just been forced up in a big pressure ridge, forming this beautiful wee archway here.
Many of the formations on the glacier last just a few weeks.
It's amazing. Why is this so much like vertical, big chunks of ice, and where we've just come from is all flat?
Oh, basically the ice is accelerating here, it's moving faster, and it's also under enormous tension, so it's cracking open, forming these big freestanding pillars or seracs.
Wow.
The glacier is constantly changing. We never know what we're going to find when we get up here. It's quite good. It keeps our job interesting as well.
All up, we spend about 2.5 hours exploring this fabulous ice maze before being choppered back to town. Fox Glacier heli hike tours run in the Westland National Park on the South Island. Alpine Guides tours cost about $135 per adult and about $125 per child, including the helicopter ride and all equipment. Tours run every day, weather permitting, and bookings are essential.
If the thought of walking on a glacier gives you cold feet, Sorrel's down south at a very cool place that's hot with trampers.
Tramping, or as we Aussies call it bushwalking, is a bit of a national pastime here in New Zealand, and right now I'm on the ever-popular Routeburn track. Now the best thing about it, it's just a 13k one-day walk in the park. Easy.
Leo Mohagan is a man with his feet well planted on terra firma, having spent the last 8 years on the Routeburn track as a guide.
Variety on this track's just incredible. You know, you've got the rainforest, the waterfalls, the alpine tops, lakes. You've got everything here, and it's so compact. the best track in the country.
The Routeburn Guided Day Walk is a round trip, starting at the Routeburn shelter and extending to the flats and then back again. All up 13k. And if you're feeling ambitious, it's an extra 5k uphill to the falls. When you see the unspoilt beauty of this part of the world, it's easy to see why the Routeburn is so popular. 12,000 trampers a year. So, of course, it's not unusual to bump into groups of keen trekkers along the way. The Kiwi tramping fashion is long johns under the shorts. It's all the rage here, but somehow I can't see it catching on back home.
Wow, that river's really raging, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, given you Kiwis love for adventure, have you ever low-loaded?
Oh, no, that's not rough enough for us.
The scenery of the Mount Aspiring National Park is constantly changing, from the thick rainforest of Red Mountain and Silver Beach to the tussock meadow of the flats. But the dramatic alpine mountains and valleys seem to be the trampers' favourite.
So what do you think so far, Carrie?
Wow, it's a beautiful track. It's much easier than I thought it would have been.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What about you, Jackie?
It's been awesome. Great day in the bush. Can't wait to get up to those falls.
The ideal time to tramp the Routeburn is between October and April. The high altitude means it can become hazardous in winter, so it's best left to experienced climbers.
K walk is relatively easy if you're a moderately fit person. But if you want to take the optional trip up to the falls, you're going to have to leave a little energy in reserve. It is a long, hard climb, but boy, it's worth it.
The Routeburn track is about an hour and a quarter from Queenstown. Routeburn walk tours start from about $80 per person, including lunch. They run November to April.
After the break, I'll be catching and cooking trout New Zealand style. Although, I probably won't count this fella.
7:30 Friday, a simple facelift for a tainted front yard.
There's nothing in this that the average person couldn't do themselves.
And visit celebrity gardener Alyssa Jane Cook's cosy retreat. Berg's Backyard, 7:30 Friday on 9.
Telstra share offer is coming. Reserve a copy of the public offer document by August 16th and you'll be eligible for a guaranteed allocation of shares. The Telstra 2 share offer. It's for you. Call 1-800-181818. Authorised by the Commonwealth Government, Canberra.
Looking for a monthly magazine that's fresh and different? Then take a look at the new For Me Monthly. It's got everything you need. Cooking, that's for me. Beauty makeovers, that's for me. Home ideas. Fashion, that's for me. Plus, win a fantastic Toyota RAV4. And inside, get your free patent to make these cool kids' clothes. There's 15 stylish and easy home decorator tips. Plus, shape up for summer and join Weight Watchers for free. For Me magazine. It's got everything you need every month. That's for me.
The healthiest way to live is close to nature. Palmolive Naturals shampoo uses natural ingredients. like chamomile, aloe vera, and jojoba, to make your hair feel so au natural. Palmolive Naturals. Softer, beautiful hair naturally.
If you'd like to pay less or even nothing for your home insurance, if you'd like to pay less or even nothing for your motor insurance, then phone SGIC on 133 233, because we're not only offering special discounts right now, we're also giving away one policy every day. SGIC's Pay Less or Pay Even Nothing sale, on until September 30.
Order a robe this month from the standard wall-span range and we'll update the finish to our exclusive Homestead or Stanford doors for free.
Hey, hey, life is a laugh.
Absolutely.
Fun times and crazy company.
Primitive confrontation.
Saturday Mollies with Supergroup TLC. Plus the latest from Dead Star, James Rain, and the coolest party animals in town.
Hey, am I sexy?
McDonald's presents Hey Hey It's Saturday on 9.
If you're going to come all the way over here to go fly fishing, you may as well come to one of the very best spots. And these are the headwaters of Lake Taupo. Now, commercial trout fishing in this country is banned. You cannot find trout on any menu in New Zealand. So, if you're going to get a feed of them, you have to get it yourself. And that is exactly what I plan on doing. Taupo is New Zealand's largest lake, and it's legendary for the size and condition of its trout and for its guides. Mike Chapman from Tongariro Lodge took me to one of his favourite spots.
That's better. See that?
Oh,
that went out nice and straight?
Yeah.
It's out landed on the water quite gently.
Yep.
So you won't spook the fish either. Not too scrappy for an Aussie.
Trout can handle any sort of current, but they tend to sit here in the slower, deeper water. He's a fighter.
That's the idea. Beautiful sound, isn't it?
Lovely sound. I was hyped up with the idea of going home with a big bag full of trout, but in these parts, anything caught under 45 centimetres gets thrown back, and the daily limit is 3. Look at him. He's a cracker. To catch one of these, you have to pay $10 for a fishing licence. To get him cooked, you just turn up at one of the local restaurants, flash your licence, and they'll do the rest. For a fisherman of my calibre, I definitely recommend a guide. There's no way I would have had as much chance of catching this fella without one. And the great thing about trout fishing in New Zealand is you can do it all year round. Lake Taupo is about an hour's drive from Rotorua. Tongariro Lodge Guiding Services provides fly fishing guides for about $55 per hour for 2 people. That's including all your equipment. A fishing licence costs about $10 per day. The food experts tell me, with a good meal, you need a nice glass of wine. You found a favourite, Katrina?
As a matter of fact, Ben, I have a glass of the Tomato Estate Coleraine Cabernet Merlot, and it is absolutely delicious. New Zealand has more than 300 wineries spread across the North and South Island, producing more than 60 million litres of wine per year. Now, with that much choice, you won't have too much of a problem finding something to tickle your taste buds. Now, probably the best known wine growing area is the Marlborough region. So, bottoms up. Let's go winery tasting. Well, wine buffs should recognise this as the label of the area's most famous export. Some of the best Sauvignon Blancs in the world come from Marlborough, and people who know say Cloudy Bay is the pick of them. From Cloudy Bay, there are over 30 vineyards within 15 kilometres of the main township of Blenheim. There's the B&B style of Le Gris, where you can stay in the mud brick house or self-contained cottage. The wine and dine setup at Alan Scott's. This family-owned business turns out a very nice Pinot Noir and is home to 12 Trees, one of the region's best restaurants. The medieval Johanneshof, where they've literally blasted a cellar out of the ground. And then
there are the larger vineyards, such as the more commercial Grove Mill, where you can do the full tour, seeing how they make wine from grape to bottle. So whatever you fancy, a cheeky shardy, a saucy Sauvignon Blanc, or a rambunctious red, you'll happily fill a few days in Marlborough.
The windy city of Wellington is New Zealand's capital and the cultural hub of the country. The promotional slogans are screaming in this city. Wellington is the entertainment capital of New Zealand. Wellington is so hot you can't put your finger on it. In fact, I've even read a survey that states more guys would rather go to the pub here than spend the night with a supermodel. Geez, it must be good. This city's population is just 330,000, but they've somehow managed to create a thriving pub, theatre and restaurant scene. Most of the action happens on and around Courtney Place in the centre of town. Beacon Restaurant will appeal to your culinary epicuriosity. That means it's good. The downstairs bar is a meeting place for the young, hip and need-to-be-seen Wellington set.
Oh, it's relaxed and funky here, man.
Tray, group. The restaurant has an energetic atmosphere. The meals are simple and well presented.
Who's like modern Australia?
I like the place. It's got beautiful waitresses.
Shoot across to Cuba Street a few blocks away and things change from hip to hippie. Midnight Espresso is for vegans, vegos, retros and coffee aficionados. Wellington is a town full of coffee snobs. For instance, this place will only use coffee sourced from the Caribbean. And it is the best coffee in town.
Generally, it's not so much what the finished result is, it's the preparation and how you present it to them.
Buzzing from a combination of caffeine and a high-fibre, organically rich snack, I hit the bar at the Grand. This is a typical blokey hangout and a good place to follow up on my dubious research. Because I read this survey which said that New Zealand guys would rather go out and drink beer at the pub than spend a night with Claudia Schiffer.
Well, that's a pretty tough call. Yeah, no, it's probably not wrong. Oh, shit, that's a big decision, isn't it? Yeah, I've got to think about that one.
If you want to fly to Wellington, Qantas is offering Getaway viewers a special fare. $399 return from Melbourne, Sydney and Brisbane, $499 from Adelaide and $799 from Perth. Savings of between $150 and $450. These prices are also valid for flights to Auckland and Christchurch, but you better be quick. The deal closes at midnight tomorrow. Watch out later for more details and the number to call for bookings.
After the break, I'll sail into New Zealand's largest and fastest growing city, Auckland.
8:30 Saturday. He set pulses racing around the world. Now in a premiere special hosted by Molly Meldrum, meet the man behind the moves. The passion and excitement of a music phenomenon.
What I present in my music is who I am.
And watch for your chance to meet Ricky Martin in person. Ricky Martin, living the crazy life, Saturday on 9.
Meet Honey, a very special dog.
Every week, Honey and I get ready to spend a couple of hours with the kids at the Mater Children's Hospital in Brisbane. They really look forward to our visits. You can see their spirits lift when Honey enters the ward. She makes them feel a whole lot better. You can see it in their eyes.
New Lucky Dog has a proven formula containing a natural prebiotic, which does for your dog what yogurt does for you. It builds and maintains digestive health.
She's great.
Great dogs deserve Lucky Dog.
There's a new Prado on the block, with over 20 improvements to the most awarded new four-wheel drive in the country.
Oh, what a feeling.
New look Prado. It's the best way to survive the city.
What do you need to know about the new tax system?
When does the new tax system start?
It starts from the 1st of July next year.
What's in it for me?
There'll be more money in your pocket from income tax cuts and increased family assistance, pensions and allowances.
How do I get more information?
Information will be mailed to you during September. Check our website or call 136140. The new tax system. Make it your business. Authorised by the Commonwealth Government, Canberra.
During the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games, 70 cameras above and below the water would rate the 100 metres freestyle down to about 100,000 images. During the race, Telstra's optical fibre network would deliver about 2,000 images per second to the International Broadcast Centre, from where they'll be relayed to some 4 billion viewers. Now that's synchronised swimming. The world knows how good our athletes are. I'm looking forward to them seeing how smart we are.
Ansett Australia proudly presents the 1999 Southern Star Dance Sport Spectacular. Don't miss the sexy Latin rhythms, the beautiful ballroom, exciting rock and roll, plus a stunning floor show by Paul and Ann Wilson, 5 times Australian ballroom champions. Enjoy live on stage the sensational 20-piece Adelaide Big Band. It's dance sport at its best. Be there Saturday, September 11, Clipsal Powerhouse. Book now at VenueTix, proudly supported by Adelaide's Channel 9.
Coles Better Buys are happening all this week with better choice, better quality and better savings. Like Symphony facial tissues, 150 pack, now only 90 cents each. And Coca-Cola soft drinks, 1.25 litres, now only $1.15 each. Save 62 cents. And Pink Lady and Sundowner apples from the fruit and vegetable department, just $2.99 a kilo. Plus the new issue of the latest fine food and lifestyle magazine, Australian Table, is available this week during Coles Better Buys.
Auckland's known as the city of sails, and with more boats per capita than anywhere else in the world, it's only fitting that they're holding the next defence of the America's Cup. The regatta starts in October, and it's the biggest sporting event this country has ever seen. This city is buzzing. Auckland is New Zealand's largest city. Its 1.3 million residents make up about a third of the country's population. Life here revolves around the harbour. I checked out the regatta's course just off Auckland's North Shore with Murray Taylor from America's Cup 2000.
I mean, it's going to be big. The City of Sails is going to really come alive for this, and we're expecting something like 65,000 international tourists, additional international tourists. And some surveys we've done have shown that we're going to have between 200,000 and 300,000 New Zealanders coming up here, so it's big.
So explain how the race series works to me.
The challengers are all here for their Challenger Series, the Louis Vuitton Cup. That kicks off on October the 18th. They run right through into the new year. That determines who sails against Team New Zealand. The match itself, the big one for us, starts on February the 19th, and that's when the best of the rest comes up against Team New Zealand. That's when they try and take the cup off us.
And they're expecting plenty of onshore action at the America's Cup Village in downtown Auckland. There'll be more than 50 restaurants, bars and cafes here, as well as accommodation and bases for sponsors and teams.
Every morning they'll be out of there. There'll be 20, maybe more than 20 America's Cup boats going out every morning. So there's always going to be action down here. Lots of excitement, lots of colour. No, it's going to be fantastic.
And it's a fair bet that most of the boaties who come to Auckland will take the 17-kilometre trip out to Waiheke Island, either by sail or ferry. You can hire a car or moped and zip around the whole island in about an hour. This place has a strong art and craft community, referred to as lifestylers who have escaped the city. Back on the mainland, the recently completed Sky Tower dominates the city centre. Otherwise, the CBD has a similar feel to larger Australian cities. Parnell, in the city's east, has an excellent cafe and shopping strip. Head to Devonport for a bit of harbourside history. And check out the K Road markets for retro fashion bargains.
What do you think? Maybe? I think maybe not.
The nightlife in Auckland is already pretty healthy. There are heaps of great restaurants and pubs around the city centre, but it's set to really go off during the Cup. American visitors will especially appreciate the Cuba Cigar Bar in Parnell, which has genuine Havanas from $10 up to $100.
Thank you.
They rotated around in a city, yeah.
Auckland may not be the biggest, brightest, fastest moving city in the world, but it is a very pretty town. And with the America's Cup coming up, it's going to be a really nice place to be. As we mentioned earlier, Qantas has organised a special fare for Getaway viewers to Auckland. $399 return from Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, $499 from Adelaide and $799 from Perth. The offer closes at midnight tomorrow. The prices also apply on flights to Wellington and Christchurch. We'll have more details and a phone number to call later in the show.
Well, I hope you're enjoying our New Zealand from N to Z special. Still to come, I'm going to take you for a spin along one of New Zealand's best coastal drives.
We'll take you to the very roof of New Zealand. Where to stay and what you'll pay. We have Kiwi accommodation covered. And chasing the action, we will climb the mountain and get down in the mud.
Weather update proudly brought to you by Radiant Laundry Detergent. Concentrate and save.
Cold and windy with showers for Adelaide. The showers easing by late morning, but still temperatures well down. Tonight down to 9. Top tomorrow only 13 degrees. Saturday cold with 1 or 2 showers. Sunday cool, mainly fine. Monday sunny and mild.
Tired of unwrapping dishwashing tablets? Pop a tablet and relax. New Morning Fresh Dual Action Dishwashing Tablets. We've made washing dishes better.
OptiDrive is a unique design process that makes the Mazda Astina so enjoyable to drive, you may never want to go home. So don't miss the Life Begins at 40 celebrations on now.
For a limited time, if you order a Wallspan Gourmet Kitchen, it could cost you from as little as $27 per week.
Let IMAX Adelaide take you on an unforgettable journey to uncover the mystery of the largest creature on Earth. You'll get closer than you ever dreamed possible as the wonder of the IMAX experience brings you face to face with these mysterious mammals. The world's biggest creature on Adelaide's biggest screen at the IMAX Theatre Adelaide. Now showing.
Unlike most of its competitors, the Mazda 626 comes with dual airbags as standard, making the 626 exactly what you need, just in case. But of course, there's always more to a Mazda.
Share a fascinating and funny film record spanning several generations of a most unusual Australian family, the Ruckets.
It's been a lifelong passion.
An eccentric cinema pioneer on a special Our Century, Sunday 6:30 on 9.
If you're into drive tours, the word on the North Island is to head along the Pacific Coast Highway from Auckland to Napier. And one of the best parts of this drive is a place called the Coromandel Peninsula, which is famous amongst New Zealanders for its coastal scenery. So I thought it would only be natural for me to hire a cheeky little four-wheel drive and find out for myself what all the fuss is about.
Driving along the Pacific Coast Highway, you can't help but feel like an explorer. The great thing is you can spend as much or as little time as you like in your travels. And on this coast, there is always something just around the corner. The inlets and offshore islands of Coromandel Harbour are popular spots for Auckland boaties. The road leaves the coast here and cuts through the hills and valleys to the town of Coromandel. The first gold found in New Zealand was discovered here in 1852. In the heights of the gold rush, the town overflowed with more than 10,000 people. But today, there's around 1,000. The only fossicking done now is in the bargain bin for arts and crafts. These days, the peninsula is more famous for its golden beaches than its golden nuggets. At the beach, you'd expect most people to be carrying a board or a picnic basket, but here, it's a shovel.
Well, I think the last time I brought a shovel to the beach, I was about 6 years old, but you wouldn't be caught without one here at Hot Water Beach. There's a fair bit of thermal activity happening underneath the sand here, and if you get here at low tide or around low tide, dig in, you can have yourself a nice hot bath. So have you had a hot bath this afternoon?
No, but I've been trying very hard. I've already shifted about 2 yards of sand and still haven't found any hot water.
Even though there are plenty of tourists around, there is still something ancient and untouched about this place. The first Maori canoes arrived here about 700 years ago, and the peninsula became the lifeblood of Maori civilization. The pumice headlands were used as Maori paths or defence sites.
Standing here, I could be on a beach in Thailand or a Greek island or even the Great Barrier Reef. But if you're prepared to take a 40-minute walk in from Hahe Beach, you will find yourself at Cathedral Cove. That is how it got its name.
The further you go up the peninsula, the more the scenery changes. I can see now why half of New Zealand comes here for holidays. Now, we've only shown you a snippet of this drive, so give yourself a few days to explore it. And, if you can, take someone with you, if only to share the driving. If you don't want to spend a lot of money and you like to design your own trip, this area is spot on. The Pacific Coast Drive runs from Auckland to Napier. Hertz has 7-day car hire starting from $377, including unlimited kilometres.
This morning I woke up tired and lonely again. Such is the life of the international jet-setting travel presenter. But there's nothing quite like the raw majesty of nature to wake you up and to lift the spirits. This awe-inspiring flight takes you over some of the best alpine scenery on the planet. The 200-kilometre circuit begins at Lake Tekapo on the South Island and covers the Mount Cook and Westland National Parks. In just 90 minutes, you get to see some of New Zealand's greatest landmarks. Richard Raywood is our pilot and guide.
Dave, above us on our right now, we have Mount Cook, our highest mountain, just under 4 kilometres high and about 2 kilometres long along the top.
And we're actually looking up at it.
We're looking up at Mount Cook. We're at 10,000 feet above sea level.
We're awfully close.
Yes. We're still actually about 3 kilometres away. It's quite deceptive because it's so big. Mount Tasman, our second highest mountain on our right. Coming up underneath us is one of the very large West Coast glaciers, the Fox Glacier.
That's the glacier that one of my colleagues was trekking across earlier in the program.
Down on foot, yes. Coming out over the Franz Joseph Glacier, Dave, looking out over the west coast of the Tasman Sea. the Tasman Glacier here, our largest glacier, 30 kilometres long, about 800 metres thick, and flowing down the valley at half a metre a day. Okay, Lake Tekapo below now, Dave, and the milky blue, the peculiar milky blue colour, is due to the glacial origin of the water.
This is so insanely gorgeous that words just simply fail you. I've got nothing to say, but Richard, can we go round again? Okay. Air Safaris run scenic flights over Mount Cook from Lake Tekapo, about 3 hours drive from Christchurch. Flights cost about $170 per adult and $110 per child. They run every day, weather permitting.
I'm standing on top of Mount Tarawera, which erupted 113 years ago, and the view from here is just spectacular. But there's more to this landscape than meets the eye. It may look barren, but it is rich in Maori history and culture. The story behind Mount Tarawera starts 90 minutes away in Rotorua at a traditional marae or Maori meeting house.
Kia ora, nau mai, haere mai, sorrow to Hinamihi Marae. Hinamihi represents our ancestor.
And it begins with an introduction to all things Maori by Julia Ricker, who runs a half-day tour to the mountain.
Down either side of the house, of the ceiling, you'll see what we call the heke, or the ribs of our ancestor. And there in the middle of the floor is the Potoko Manawa, or the heart, and our spiritual connection to our ancestors.
It was built in 1927 for Julia's great-aunt, Guide Rangi, a legendary tour leader in the area. Guide Rangi's grandfather designed the house in honour of the marae he sheltered in during the 1886 Mount Tarawera eruption. The story of this catastrophic event is best told where it happened. So next up, it's an hour-and-a-half's drive through fairly rugged bushland, past some very impressive views, to the gaping crater of what remains of Mount Tarawera. For centuries, the Tūharangi tribe held this mountain in high regard. All their leaders were buried on its summit, and the bones of countless ancestors were entombed around its base.
Something so sacred to the Māori people are the bones of their ancestors. And so when Mother Nature blew into oblivion something they held so sacred, they couldn't believe that they could have been dealt such a heavy blow by her. So they walked away and were never to return.
3 villages were completely annihilated that day, and 153 people died. The survivors believed the eruption was Mother Nature's way of punishing them. They'd turned their beautiful homeland into a highly profitable tourist attraction and grown a little idle in the process. There are plenty of mountain tours in New Zealand that are really physical, but only a few offer a cultural adventure as well. And hey, where else in the country can you do this? Whoa! Woo! Mountain Magic runs tours of Mount Tarawera from Rotorua. Half-day tours cost about $55 per adult and $25 per child.
Coming up, living the high life and paying a high price in the high country.
On a current affair, remember Veronica?
Nanny's got to be around to see you grow up to be a big girl.
She couldn't even fit in her car.
Oh, no, put it down.
Now, the grandmother has lost an incredible 100 kilos.
It's given me a lot.
Tomorrow at 6:30.
This is George. He's my human. It's our first novel, and I think we're finally getting somewhere.
Sally, I think we're finally getting somewhere.
We lead rather a hectic social life, so I enjoy our quiet moments together. As in any relationship, compatibility is essential. Luckily for me, we both share the same passion for good food. Of course, there are times when you need your own space.
Nobody said being in business for yourself was going to be an easy ride. That's why Brother invented the 8-in-1 multifunction centre, with every piece of office equipment you need in one. Now, that should be a load off your shoulders.
At Bilo, big brand prices are under attack.
Here's fantastic value, 25% off 500 gram Flora spread.
$1.37.
Win the price battle.
Now at Bilo.
Introducing My Dog Special Selection. It's a new dry food specially prepared with carefully selected meats, ocean fish and garden vegetables. My Dog Special Selection for the most discerning palate.
Nobody enjoys watching the cream of international sports people make absolute fools of themselves.
Answer my question!
Or do they?
Come on, give me a break!
The best and worst of sport premieres 9 o'clock tonight on 9.
As you've seen so far tonight, New Zealand really is quite spectacular. It's not the sort of place that you just want to breeze in and out of. Once you get here, you're going to want to spend some time. So there's two questions you need to ask yourself. Where am I going to stay? And do I want to spend big bucks or do it on the cheap? Well, we've got a couple of suggestions for you, starting with this place, the Dairy Guest House in Queenstown. This little B&B's in a top spot, just 150 metres from the centre of town. The original building was a general store. In the last 4 years, it's been added to and turned into a cosy guest house. There are 6 double rooms, very comfortably done out, and each has its own bathroom. The original store is now the guest house dining room. And the communal lounge is a good size with a nice homey feel. If you prefer a bit more isolation with your B&Bs, then Punga Cove Resort should just about do it for you. It's tucked away in a tiny inlet in the Marlborough Sounds, 45 minutes by water taxi from the nearest town of Picton. The resort only takes 36 guests at a time in these hillside chalets. The studio chalets are the most popular. They sleep 3 comfortably or 5 at a pinch. There are some cheaper share rooms and the luxury chalet, which has its own spa and, of course, the best views.
New Zealand is known for its upmarket lodges. Grasmere, a working farm in the Southern Alps, stands proudly in isolated opulence. This is a Scotch whisky open fire kind of place, dwarfed by Mount Misery. This is probably the oldest, the highest, the coldest, the most luxurious, but by no means the cheapest lodge in the country. The main residence was built in 1858 as part of a huge sheep station producing extra fine merino wool. About 100 metres away, an additional building, the homestead, was completed last year. The lodge has 7 rooms, very elegantly done out, and the homestead has 3. All suites have huge bathrooms. This place is going to appeal to the more laid-back traveller, one who enjoys lounging and is hopefully capable of reading. There are other entertainment options available in the lodge's lounge room, including a well-stocked bar. But if you're struggling to find a thirst quencher amongst this little lot, try the 2,000 bottle cellar. Grasmere employs one of New Zealand's top chefs, Peter Meikle, who prepares heritage-style food using fresh lamb, beef, venison and salmon. And it's all served in their fine dining room. As far as accommodation goes, this is no crash pad when you're passing through town. Because of the price and location, it's a place you'd want to build into your holiday plans in advance.
If you think that lodge might be a bit out of your budget, why don't you pull the Kiwi Packer on for size? Kiwi Packer is only 10 minutes walk from the centre of Rotorua. It's the country's largest purpose-built accommodation, sleeping 270 people. The main digs is the lodge, which has 64 rooms. They vary in size and sleep between 2 and 6 people. Bathroom facilities are communal. For a little more privacy and comfort, try out the chalets. They have their own bathroom and sleep between 2 and 4 people. On the other hand, if you want to go El Cheapo, you can always pitch a tent. Other shared areas of the complex are the kitchen, lounge room, cafe, and the social heart of Kiwi Packer, the Bush Bar. So how does this backpacker rate as far as backpackers go around the world?
This is a luxury style backpacker. It is indeed, yeah. It's the best I've seen so far.
It's pretty good compared to what we've stayed in.
Yeah?
In Auckland, they get pretty, dodgy.
Just outside the bar is another popular spot, the Thermal Spa, which is the largest in Rotorua. Like most backpacker accommodation, this place is a hub of activity. Now, the Kiwi Packer is a step up from your normal backpacker joint, and the thermal pool's a bonus. Kiwi Packer is in Rotorua on the North Island. Beds at the lodge start from about $14 per person, and the chalets are about $20 per person twin share. The Dairy Guest House is in Queenstown. Rooms start from about $110 per double per night in winter and from about $145 per double per night in summer. That's including breakfast. A minimum 5-night stay applies in winter. Punga Cove Resort is near Picton, about 4.5 hours drive north of Christchurch. Backpacker accommodation costs about $20 per person per night, and the studio chalets start at about $80 per double per night. Grasmere Lodge is near Cass, about 2 hours northwest of Christchurch. Rooms start from about $270 per person per night twin share, which includes breakfast and a 5-course dinner. And another reminder of those special Qantas fares to Christchurch, Auckland and Wellington. $399 from the East Coast, $499 from Adelaide and $799 from Perth. You've got until midnight tomorrow to book, and keep watching for the number to call coming up soon.
Coming up, the action side of New Zealand. I'll be carving up the South Island, which has just had its biggest dump in 25 years.
Coming soon from the creators of Merlin and Cleopatra.
They don't deserve to be wiped from the face of the earth.
Experience a timeless classic, filmed on location in Australia.
You're all mad! The animals too!
Noah's Ark premieres soon online.
After saving Hooch from the pound, Sean was in for a real surprise.
It all began when I went scuba diving. I left her on the boat, but she kept jumping in. She wouldn't let me go without it. So I made her own diving suit. Now she dives with me all the time.
New Lucky Dog has a proven formula containing a natural prebiotic, which does for your dog what yogurt does for you. It builds and maintains digestive health.
She's great.
Great dogs deserve Lucky Dog.
To celebrate their sponsorship of the 1999 American Bowl, your Jeep and Chrysler dealers are holding an American Bowl super sale throughout August, so you can catch spectacular deals like a powerful Jeep Cherokee with all on-road costs included. And this really is a steal. $1,500 worth of accessories on every Jeep Wrangler. And test drive the all-new Grand Cherokee V8. So touch down at your Jeep and Chrysler dealer during August for an American Bowl super deal.
Sunday, Monday, happy days.
The Arena mega musical Happy Days explodes on stage. Happy Days from October. Tickets on sale Monday, August 16.
Marge, the rains are here.
McCain Super Juicy Corn Cobbets, specially grown to be super juicy. So juicy, they're simply bursting with flavour. Ah, McCain, you've done it again.
With royals like this, who needs a republic? The best and worst of royalty premieres next on 9.
New Zealand likes to say it's the action capital of the world. You can do just about every adrenaline sport there is in Queenstown on the South Island, including one that always gives me a rush.
Skiing and boarding in New Zealand is a totally different experience to Australia. It's more open, and because it's further south, it's colder, the snow's drier, and there seems to be a lot more of it.
Coronet Peak is this country's premier ski resort. It's about 25 minutes from Queenstown. The terrain is great for intermediate and advanced skiers, and snowboarders really dig this place. There are 7 lifts, including the Coronet Express, which carries 2,200 people per hour to the summit. The longest run is 1.8 kilometres.
Probably a little less known is the Remarkables, also called the Relaxables. It's a bit more family friendly and also a good mountain for beginners.
This incredibly beautiful ski field is about 45 minutes from Queenstown. The Remarks has an excellent learners area, and children under 10 ski for free. This resort is higher than Coronet Peak. Its longest run is 1.5 kilometres, and it's serviced by 5 lifts. On a day when Coronet Peak was having its busiest day on record, there were virtually no queues here. Overall, skiing the South Island shapes up pretty well against Australia. New Zealand has a slightly longer season, and the ski areas are generally larger, but you can't stay on the snowfields. Australian resorts tend to have longer runs and more lifts, but also more people. Money-wise, New Zealand ski packages are very competitive against Aussie ones. Guthrie's Pacific has 6-night packages including return economy airfares, transfers, 3-day lift pass and accommodation starting at $968 per person twin share from Sydney, $1,036 from Melbourne and Brisbane, $1,246 from Adelaide and $1,446 from Perth.
If you're looking for some thrills and spills in the North Island, there's a place about 15 minutes outside of Rotorua that should do the trick.
Off-Road New Zealand is also known as the Adrenaline Factory, and soon you'll see why. Now, the owners told me it's wet, muddy, and even a little bit dangerous up here, and I can't say that that doesn't excite me just a little bit.
This giant fun park has lots of things to keep you amused, but I took a shine to these new quad bikes.
God, this is good fun.
The playground for these Honda two-wheel drives is a 750-metre double-loop track with lots of ups and downs and some very hairy bends. The knack with these bikes is to hang your body like a sidecar swing, but this balancing business is not always easy.
What a trick.
Well, I survived that one, but let's have a crack at this.
The Formula 1500 sprint car racing takes place on this 200-metre concrete and mud track. Today, though, it's more mud than anything else. Cars clock about 70 k's, and they're fitted with roll cages and seatbelt harnesses for extra safety. Any licensed driver can do this, and the good thing is it's open all day, every day. So when you need an adrenaline fix, you know where to come. Off-Road New Zealand is just outside Rotorua. Formula 1500 sprint cars cost about $15 per person for 12 laps, and quad bikes about $15 for 20 minutes.
This is a marvellous country, quite inspiring in every way, and one I'm in no hurry to leave. And hopefully something you've seen tonight has urged you to cross the Tasman. If you'd like to know more, all the information you need is just a stamp lick, a mouse click, or a phone call away. You can write to us at PO Box 50, Willoughby 2068, and don't forget to include a stamped, self-addressed, business-sized envelope. Call 1902 210 210 and we'll send you a fact sheet. Or call 1902 210 002 for a fax back. And of course, you can log on to our website at getaway.com.au for all our latest news and information. And perish the thought, if there's anything we've left out of tonight's show, contact the New Zealand Tourism Board on 02 9582 5777 or at purenz.com. Finally, here's the number to get hold of that special Qantas airfare to Christchurch, Wellington and Auckland. Call 131313. Remember, this offer is only on sale until midnight tomorrow night. Next week, we'll be back to our normal format. Hope you can join us then. Bye-bye.
Next week on Getaway, Canada's beautiful Algonquin National Park, the most exotic way to cruise far north Queensland, and tuning in the Dubai Desert.